What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Breaking and Entering Podcast. Week 15, just like that. We're about to be at the end of the year. But first, Brandon, how we doing today, man?
I'm doing good. Victory Tuesday. How about yourself?
Yeah, I could say victory Tuesday for me. First time in about, I don't know how long, since 2 damn months it seemed like. But yeah, we're going to get into it, though.
For sure. Let's get to this opening drive, everyone. The Chiefs, they've been eliminated from playoff contention. Thank you, Jesus. On a sadder note, though, Patrick Mahomes, he's out for the season. He tore his ACL. He had surgery on Monday for his ACL and LCL. Godspeed to him. Speedy recovery. Hope he gets well. Steelers linebacker TJ Watt, he was fined $11,000 and change for a late hit when he jumped on top of a pile against the Ravens. The NFL is shortening time between picks in the first round of the draft from 10 minutes to 8, trying to shorten up that first round on that Thursday night, usually is. The Jets, they decided to fire defensive coordinator Steve Wilks, and they also released wide receiver Alan Lazard. Defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons, he had his home broken into while he was away playing out in Santa Clara against the 49ers last Sunday. Hall of Famers Jerry Rice and Steve Young, they will coach the Pro Bowl teams in, I think it's late January, early February. Jaden Daniels, he'll be shut down for the remainder of the season. And Big Ben, hypocrite move. He now says Mike Tomlin has earned the right to move on from the Steelers or stay with the organization. Sure, you have some thoughts on this opening drive, Ed?
Yeah, first the Jada Downs news. Just frustrating season. There's always next year. Hopefully he can get healthy and stay healthy next year. Because honestly, I'm getting kind of concerned. He could be one of those injury-prone guys because he missed some time last year's rookie year. He missed even more time this year. So I'm just hoping he can put this behind him. New season next year, he starts out fresh. I would like to see him play in the preseason, but I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. I'll have some more thoughts when that time comes. And as far as Mike Tomlin, I hope he leaves the Steelers because it's obvious fans, former players don't appreciate what he's done for this organization. And it's like I talk about this all the time. A lot of people want to blame coaching when you can only do so much. You got the Mason Rudolphs out there, you got the Kenny Pickett's, and he still finds ways. Hell, Big Ben was on one leg and had one arm basically when he was at the end of his career. So it's like, oh, Mike Tomlin can't get over the big game. Well, if you don't got the right personnel, there's only so much you can do. So I really hope Mike Tomlin says, fuck this. I'm done with the Steelers. I think I saw something. I would hate to see him, but I saw something where maybe the Giants is a team that could use a head coach. I think he would be great in New York. If somehow we got rid of Dan Quinn, I love him as a Commanders coach too. But I really hope that Mike Tomlin gets rid of or leaves the Steelers just so they can know what they're missing when he's gone. That's all I got to say about that.
I agree. Again, Big Ben, he's a hypocrite because, like I was telling you before the show, he was there for him, Marquise Pouncey, and Joey Porter Sr. got inducted into their Hall of Fame there at halftime on Monday Night Football. So he got interviewed apparently before the game, and that's when he said this. But all of a sudden, when you was on your podcast a couple weeks ago, in the comfort of your home or wherever, you want to sit back and say, "Oh, he's the perfect fit for was the Penn State job," or he should be him. And I think James Harrison said that he should leave the organization. Now you want to double down on what you said. I mean, or change your mind and say it when you're there in his presence there in the stadium. And they was coming off the Ravens win the week before, so the morale's probably a little bit higher. Of course, they go into playing Miami, a cold weather team. I mean, a warm weather team that had really no chance, in my opinion, of going there and beating them. Now you want to get on his good side and say something like that. So, and then real quick about that Jets firing Steve Wilks, I feel sorry for him. He got let go. I think it was in Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, and San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken
He
as
got
well.
fired by San Fran after 1 year as a DC too. Yep.
Yep. So hopefully he finds a spot and can stay on. That was another team where, outside of Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner, you really didn't have very many people there on that personnel wise on that Jets defense. For him to get the blame like that, I do like Aaron Glenn, but kind of a bad move. It seemed like in my perspective, it was like a brother kicking a brother when he's down, basically. But yeah, hopefully he lands somewhere else. I'm sure it'll be some defense coordinator. There's one up probably up in New York open because they fired their defense coordinator, so maybe he'll land up there and help that defense out. But we'll see how it goes. We got a lot of coaching moves and changes coming up in the next couple weeks. All right, everyone. It was the Bills put a stop to the Patriots' 10th game winning streak on Sunday. Ed, the final score was 35-31.
Yeah, if they was playing Madden, this game would have ended in the first half because the Patriots came out firing. I think it was 21-0 at one point. Two rushing touchdowns by Drake May. Then, Travion Henderson, the rookie running back, he rushed for a touchdown too. Bills were able to kick a field goal. Or I'm sorry, they scored a touchdown right before the half. And then, the second half came and the Bills showed up. The Patriots kind of didn't. I think they had more plays the second half. The time of possession, they pretty much dominated. I think it was like 35 minutes for the Bills and like 21 minutes for the Patriots overall for that game. But the Bills came out the second half was basically like, yeah, there's no way we're losing this game. And it's one of those things the Bills do. It starts with Josh Allen, it seems. He'll have some big play, big run or something, and the momentum will just swing to the Bills, and it's pretty hard to stop them after that. And I think it shows that the Patriots are a legit team because, they came out and they came up early on the Bills and they were able to like make it a game. I mean, they didn't just in the second half. They scored a touchdown again. Trevion Henderson had a big run for a touchdown, and they made it a game. I was kind of surprised. I thought the Bills was gonna, win this one fairly easily, but they were sweating a little bit. They had to basically turn this into like a playoff type game for them to win. So I think the Patriots they'll make it to the playoffs, but I think there might be one and done. Honestly, I think they're just right now. This is one of those seasons in their maturation point where they lose this year, and then next year we see if they can make some real noise. Excuse me, because teams ain't going to be taken by surprise from them. The schedule's going to be a little bit harder, kind of like how it was for the Commanders this year. So definitely see how they do next year going forward for the Patriots. But as far as the Bills, good win for them. They still have a chance to win their division, and we'll see how it goes. These type of wins can definitely, snowball effect into bigger things. And you look at the Bills' offense, specifically like the receivers. It's not like one guy dominating week in, week out, like you say, like the Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba who's just dominating. It's like Khalil Shakir, he might have a big game, but he gets the tight ends involved, Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. I talk about the running backs catching the ball in the backfield. James Cook, he had a touchdown. We hear a lot about Ty Johnson catching the ball in the backfield too. So, you pick your poison. And then James Cook, I think, has been the huge difference maker this year. I see him doing big things for the Bills in the playoffs. Hopefully they don't go away from him in the playoffs. And, with the Chiefs out, it could be the Bills, path to the Super Bowl, honestly. But back to this game, though, great win for the Bills. And I think Patriots, this is kind of more to come. I think they can continue to win games in the regular season, but they get to the playoffs, they're going to play a team where they try to hit them with the 1-2 punch, knock them out early. They're going to get back up and punch you in the mouth, and we'll see how they deal with that. And I think they might get dropped and down for the count this year. Brandon, your thoughts?
So remember a few weeks ago, I reminded y'all why the Bills drafted so many defenders with all their selections, and then they signed Joey Bosa and they brought back Tre'Davious White. It was because of big games like this. Tre'Davious White, he had an interception later in the game in the second half. Um, New England was driving. It was around, give or take, the 40-yard line. Threw it up there on the right side. Tre'Davious came down with it deep in the red area. Turnover. Joey Bosa made the final play of the New England drives of the game, batted down that Drake May pass, turnover on downs. Buffalo kneels on it to get the win. Wasn't all easy for them though, as you mentioned. They were down 21-0 just before half. They did get the score there, and it kind of turned around. They came into a defensive dominance in that second half. You and I even text each other saying we need to put a little bit more respect, for lack of better terms, on New England's name. And then, the final score came out with Buffalo on top. So definitely happy with the outcome of this game. Mike Vrabel said after it, a few small plays made a difference, but my guy, it was a lot more than a fewer plays that made the difference, in my opinion, because I think, again, the second half adjustments this Bills team made and the plays that they made there in the third and the fourth quarters um, came up to be several big plays for Buffalo to come out on top. So hats off to the Buffalo Bills. I agree. I think when New England has to play the perhaps Buffalo again in the playoffs, Houston's defense, Jacksonville's got a defense down there. Trevor Lawrence has been on a stride since the bye week. Play a couple of them teams like that. Um, Not to mention Denver out there, and perhaps the Chargers. Play some teams like that. They're likely going to be one and done, if not out in the divisional round for sure. I agree.
All right, everybody. This episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD infused products, which make great stocking stuffers for the upcoming holiday season. Perfect for athletes, weekend warriors, soccer moms, and even armchair quarterbacks. They have CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite, as well as tinctures and mint and regular flavor. Most importantly, they are veteran and women owned, so come get some of this sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is premium.com. And now let's get back to our show.
God is good, y'all. Man, all the chips fell where they needed to on Sunday in the early window for the Chiefs to be eliminated from playoff contention, including this 16-13 loss at home um, against the Chargers. Man, Ed didn't get exactly what he wanted. He wanted to see Derwin James body slamming Travis Kelce, but James did step in front of Kelce for that game-sealing interception when the backup Gardner Minshew came in. I'm going to give all the credit to this Chargers team, y'all, because we've seen them fail over the last several years trying to close out games, and they got it done. They struggled at finishing games. Um, they shut out the now former um, AFC champs in the second half in their house, sacked Mahomes 5 times. They pressured him all game long. And this also goes back to the first game when they played him out of the country as well. They won the turnover battle and completely shut down that Kansas City run game. Just a dream come true, honestly, to see the Chiefs playoff hopes come to an end. With 3 weeks left to play, I remember seeing a promo heading into week 15, with Patrick Mahomes' jersey because, of course, he wears number 15. Um, and they was like, will this be the week that they end up losing, what I'm saying, or end up getting put out of the playoffs? And again, they had Patrick Mahomes' number there because he's the most iconic number 15 in the NFL right now. But yeah, again, prayers up to him. I believe he's going to be back week 1 of 2026. I'm hearing 9 months. I'm hearing into November possibly, but I'm thinking he'll be on that short end of the span. One, because he already had the surgery. He legit had the surgery the day after um, the injury, flew to Dallas and got it done. They first was saying he was going there for a second opinion, so I don't even know if he got the second opinion, but he had the surgery. And 2, we know what type of competitor he is on the field. So he's going to be just like that, trying to get back on the field. And another point, these players are just coming back quicker and quicker from these injuries. And I know it's a big injury, but he's just one of those guys that you just can never count out. He's going to put that intense rehab in the full gear and get going and make sure that he's back ready to go week 1. And he really doesn't even need OTAs, mini camps, and training camp, in my opinion. He's just one of those guys that can legit show up in week 1 and make plays for his team. So, yeah, I have no doubt that he'll be back in the first weekend. I'm sure the NFL will do the Chiefs a little favor. We'll probably give them either the Sunday night or the Monday night game to open up next year. So they'll have even a few more hours just to get ready. But yeah, hats off to the Chargers though. 10 wins plus for the second straight season under Jim Harbaugh, Ed's former coach from the University of Michigan. Um, Good win for them to continue to stay in the hunt to get into the playoffs. Ed, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, like you said, hats off to the Chargers. I do have a slight bone to pick with the Chargers. This is strictly because of fantasy football. Lad McConkey, where the hell were you at, man? I mean, you got me 4 points in my damn fantasy matchup, man. 4 points. And of course I lost the damn game because the guy I played against had Cortland Sutton and George Pickens or
Oh yeah,
George Kittle for the damn Niners, and Titans couldn't do shit with him. God damn. If y'all out there playing fantasy football, man, just man, y'all can feel my pain a little bit. But back to this game, though. I talked about Travis Kelce and how I didn't think he would do much. He kind of proved me wrong. But I did mention Derwin James' name. And like you said, he had that game-sealing interception. And I was kind of like, okay, well, at least I kind of got that right a little bit. Also, we did have a little bit more of Gatson. That was another guy I called the tight end, rookie tight end. Late round, mid round pick for the Chargers too. They kind of got a diamond in the rough with him. It seems like he was pretty much their leading receiver on the day. But like you said, man, that Chargers defense picked off Mahomes, the leading rusher. Like you said, they shut down the Chargers, shut down the Kansas City rushing game. Leading rusher was Pacheco with 21 yards. That's
yeah,
definitely something that I can see the Chiefs addressing in the offseason, how to, make that running game a little bit better. And as far as the Chargers moving forward, definitely got to keep, you know, my man Justin Herbert healthy with that hand injury and everything like that. But definitely want to see how they look going forward. They got some pieces on defense. They kind of concern me because they kind of remind me of Jacksonville a little earlier in the season where they're like good one week and then next week they're like, what the hell? Because speaking of Jacksonville, the last time they lost is when they got blown the hell out by Jacksonville, 35-6. So they can sometimes have games like that, but it is getting later in the season. All you got to do is go on a run. You win a game like this, you knock out one of your rivals, and it could be a sigh of relief going into the end of the year. Like I said, the Bills could have a snowball effect where this goes on. So the AFC is wide open right now. I know I said the Bills could do it, but honestly, like you said, the Chargers, you don't know. There's another team I don't want to talk about right now. Maybe I'll talk about the next show, who's my kind of dark horse for the AFC. But definitely a good win for the Chargers, and I'm interested to see what they'll do going forward this season. But it all depends on Justin Herbert, his health, and how he plays, in my opinion, and then the defense too. And you talked about this is just going off a tangent real quick. The former Michigan coach. Oh God, the other former Michigan coach, uh, Coach Moore. Prayers to you, brother, and your whole situation.
yeah.
Lord have mercy on that. Okay, that's all I gotta say about that. But damn, yeah, that was bad.
Okay, turning the page, everyone. The Broncos, they're now 7-0 at home after taking down the Packers 34-26. Ed.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was pleasantly surprised by Bo Nick's performance. Maybe I didn't watch enough of Bo Nix in the Broncos, but he made some throws that game that I didn't really see from before, some touch throws. The Packers couldn't do nothing with Cortland Sutton. It's like when you knew they needed to play, it was like Sutton's gonna get this ball. Keyshawn Nixon couldn't do nothing with him. The ball hawk safety, Xavier McKinney, he couldn't do anything. He would get there like just before or just after Cortland Sutton makes a catch, but Cortland Sutton was doing whatever he needed to do, whatever he wanted to do against that Packers defense. And then that loss of Micah Parsons, man, that was tough to watch. I feel bad. He tore his ACL too. Who knows how long he's going to be out? I think that's going to have a dramatic effect on this Packers defense and their pass rush. They are one of my favorites coming out the NFC, but I just don't know how they'll do. I mean, I like the offense. Christian Watson, he also went down. Who knows? I think he will be like a game time decision for next week. So it's tough losses for the Packers. This was a game they had a chance to win too, but damn, man, those are some tough injuries. You losing arguably your best player on the defense. I think he is the best player in my opinion. And Michael Parsons, Josh Jacobs, he had a few splash plays out there, but it just wasn't enough. And like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by Bo Nix. This is another team, that defense they got. Them boys out there on the Denver Broncos, they be hitting you. They play a little nasty too. Taylor Hufanga,
Yeah.
the safety for the
Yep.
Broncos, he was hitting some players. Some of them plays, come right before the whistle, maybe right as it whistle in, but they ain't looking to make friends out there. I'll tell you that much. But Bo Nix, man, he showed me some things. He was able to, limit the pass rush because Michael Parsons was on his ass the whole damn night, like white on
Yeah.
rice before he went down. And he kind of, in a way, hurt Parsons because he wasn't like juking, but he was trying to avoid him, and
True.
it made Parsons step in an awkward way where his knee gave out. So hey man, this how it goes sometimes. But definitely a good win for the Broncos. Honestly, I think the Packers' chances right now of going to the winning the Super Bowl have just been shot with this game, in my opinion. Brandon, though, what's your thoughts on this game, man?
Yeah, man. Bo Nix, hell of a game. Hats off to him. Firepower, man. Little Jordan Humphrey, Michael Bandy, Troy Franklin, and you mentioned Cortland Sutton as well. All four of them caught touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, though, on the other side, he had an amazing touchdown catch there in the second quarter. I told you about it. Kind of had some hops on the play. You would have thought he was a wide receiver out there. Went up for it, turned around, spun, came back down, kept his feet in for the touchdown there in the end zone. 6 lead changes, man. It honestly looked like Green Bay was going to take control of this game in the third quarter. But then Surtain, he picked off Love, had that deep route to Christian Watson. That same play that Christian Watson went down, I think it was shoulder and chest, I believe it was. They rushed him to the hospital, make sure that they didn't miss anything there. The trainers and the athletic staff there in the stadium. You mentioned Michael Parsons went down on that no contact play late in the third quarter. Denver went on to score that drive, and they took the lead. They never really looked back at that point. Um, we talked about it heading into this show last Friday and over the past several weeks. The uncertainty with Jordan Love and his play showed up in this one in the second half because the first half he was playing lights out, in my opinion. Second half, 2 interceptions, and it really came back to haunt them there at the end. But I do feel like Sean Payton owed his defense a big time thank you because he went for it on fourth down. It was just over a minute left in regulation. They could have ran that clock down to probably about a good 40 seconds or so, but they ran up to on the ball, snapped it, and Green Bay's defense stuffed the run, turnover on downs. But the opposing drive, Denver's defense shut down Green Bay's final drive. We definitely could have been talking about his time management, like your boy Nathaniel Hackett in his first season. I think it was game 2 um, of him with the Broncos. If this hadn't have panned out the way, if Green Bay had came back and scored and got the 2-point conversion, if they had even just scored and made it a 2-point loss as opposed to 8, we could have been talking about it. But it was a very mind scratching decision for me for him to not necessarily go for it on fourth down, but the way that the offense just ran up on the ball and snapped it. I guess they were trying to catch that defense off guard or what, but um, hats off to the Broncos, now 7-0 there at Empower Field there in Mile High.
Yeah. I don't know about Hackett being my boy, but we're gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
All right. Old man Rivers almost pulled it out against the Seahawks, but the Seahawks were able to win it in 18-16 against the Colts. Brandon, your thoughts on this game?
Man, Philip Rivers looked like Tim Allen in Santa Claus 2. That was the one where he gained all that weight. You kind of hefty out there, boy. But no, thank God they did not win this game, the Indianapolis Colts, because that's we already never heard the end of it, of him coming out of retirement, last week or so, heading up into the game. All in the pregame on Sunday was seeing Philip Rivers highlights from his time with the Chargers and his first stint with the Colts, and then uh, now even after the game, they kept playing his press conference after the game. Even on Sports Center today, they had a interview with one of his players there in I believe it's Alabama, one of his high school football players, Phillip Rivers, Phillip Rivers. It's like every time I turn around was him on the screen talking about him coming out of retirement. Yes, it's all good and stuff, but calm down, y'all. He was one of 3 quarterbacks selected in that draft. And Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. Ben Roethlisberger has 2 Super Bowls. Phillip Rivers has none. But yet he's getting all this attention. You would have thought that he was God's gift in the universe. But anyway, um, you said it best during this game, man. It would have been bad if the Seahawks lost. They narrowly escaped with the win in this one. Phillip Rivers, he led the Colts on that short 7-play, 26-yard drive for the go-ahead field goal with 47 seconds left on the clock. But they left too much time, in my opinion. Sam Darnold, he did not make a mistake like we've seen him in past games and past years. He hit Rashid Shaheed, the guy they traded for just not too long ago, about a month or so ago. Couple big chunk plays after he returned the ball to set them up near their own 40. So it kind of gave them a little bit of shorter field there. And the Seattle offense took advantage of it, got the field goal. Um, Shaheed, he's really come up big for this Seattle offense over the last couple of weeks. He has 12 catches, 141 yards during that span. I think he was your special teams player of the week last week. And again, that's why they traded for him. They wanted another guy to help Sam Darnold down the stretch, and he's doing just that. But yeah, it wasn't pretty. I think Seattle, again, they got off the hook in this one because, Indianapolis Colts definitely kept it close the entire game. But yeah, thank you to Seattle for beating Indianapolis and Phillip Rivers. Ed, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I ain't gonna lie to you, Brian. You might not like this, but I was rooting for old man Rivers in this game. Um, Partly because I hate the Seahawks for the way they beat the hell out of the Commanders
Oh
earlier this
yeah,
year, and that's when Jaden dislocated his elbow. So I'm rooting against the Seahawks for the rest of my life, pretty much. But as far as this game go, man, honestly, they talk about it. Phillip Rivers played good enough. They're gonna start him next week. It seems like he motivated this team because before this game, the defense was kind of going downhill. The defense played well enough until the end of the game where they, let the Seahawks drop down the field and win the game on a field goal. But they played well enough if they could just get a little bit more the Colts offense, out of Jonathan Taylor. And don't get me wrong, the Seahawks is a good defense. But if they could have just got a little bit more out of Jonathan Taylor, I feel like they were able to get over the hump with this game. But it just wasn't enough. The Seahawks going forward, it's just like sometimes you watch Darnold play, and it's like if you play Madden back in the day, I'm not too sure about it now, where basically the quarterback, you have your receiver that you want to throw the ball to, and it'll just show the quarterback looking at him the whole time. That's what it looks like with Darnold when he's playing. It looks like he's just looking straight at Njigba and wait
yeah.
for him to get open. And it's working right now, but he needs to, like you talked about, Shaheed, get these other guys involved, especially when they get to the playoffs. I don't know how long it's going to work where him and Nick Jib are going to beat everybody by themselves. Um, but it was a good win for the Seahawks. They were able to keep the streak going for them. Shout out to the kicker, Jason Myers, only scorer in this game for the Seahawks, kicking 6 field goals. The longest was that 56-yarder too. Might hear his name, hint, hint, later in the show. But yeah, man, I'm interested to see how Phillip Rivers plays this next week and how he's feeling because he took some hits. I think he was only sacked once or twice. He did take a few hits, and then he stumbled one time. He looked real old when he stumbled on the ground and was trying to get back up. He looked like an old man, might have needed a cane to get back up. Definitely looked real Tim Allenish and on that play from what I remember. But I'm wondering how he's going to feel next week because I'm sure his body is aching right now, especially like the second. I think today Tuesday, that second day after the game. I'm sure his body is a lot more pain. But we'll see how he recovers, how he plays next week. Definitely going to see how long they'll have him this season. But yeah, you're probably going to hear his name a lot more, Brandon, until he kicks a bucket again for his career. But yeah, man, good win for the Seahawks. We'll see how they look going forward. It's still hard to trust Sam Darnold, even though he's, I think at this point he's a regular season quarterback. He gets to the playoffs. I don't know. That's my thoughts on him, but he could prove me wrong. But we'll see how it looks going forward.
Sure, and I think Phillip Rivers will play better next week. They got San Fran at home in Indianapolis, and San Fran's they're not. Despite their record, they're not very good at blitzing the quarterback this year. So he should have some time back there in the pocket um, next Sunday, or I think that's the Monday night game. So we'll look forward to that one.
Oh God, that's
Okay,
the Monday night game. They
yeah, that's
going
that's the
they
Monday
going to
night
feature Phillip Rivers. He might be on a
game.
broadcast during the game.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so in SoFi Stadium, they say whose house? Rams' house. The Rams and Matthew Stafford outlasted the Lions 41-34 in the late window. Ed.
You know, it's funny that they do say that, but then if you watch Rams home games, it's always a 50-50 crowd because
Well, yeah,
when the Lions make plays, I hear
yep,
I hear a
you're
bunch
right.
of Lions, man. It's like that every game for the Rams.
Yep,
And the Rams are a really good team. I mean, you could arguably say they're the best team in the NFC, but it's a
yeah,
50-50 crowd there in LA. The same for them Chargers games too. That this LA, I
exactly.
guess, the teams
Or city.
used to play at, they ain't traveled to LA with them. But back to this game, another shootout. I think Jared Goff, even though, he's over the whole, he used to play for the Rams and you playing the Lions, blah, blah, blah. He's over that whole scenario, but he definitely plays motivated ball, in my opinion, when he plays against his former team. He definitely wants to win. He had an opportunity to. They came out early on the Rams. I think they had like a 10-point lead at one point. They couldn't do nothing with Amon-Ra St. Brown in that first half. I think he had like almost all of his yards in the first half, but then that second half came. Rams kind of settled down a little bit. They pretty much the Lions did not run the ball well. I mean, they didn't get gashed. Gibbs didn't do pretty much anything on the ground. Same for David Montgomery. So that was a big part of the game for the Rams winning this game, in my opinion, where they didn't allow the Lions to run the ball on them. And then, Matt Stafford, him and Kobe Parkinson, even though one of them touchdowns, I don't know how the hell they upheld this call where Kobe Parkinson looked like he was down like a yard before
Yeah,
he crossed the plane. His knee hit the ground. The defender was on him. They caught a touchdown on the play, and then you looking at the replay. I was like, okay, they're gonna overturn it. About 2 minutes go past. They say touchdown stands. I was like, what? That's crazy. Talking to a Lions fan, coworker at work today, and he was the same way. Like, how the hell was that a touchdown? How the hell did they call that? The refs, man. He was going crazy over that, and I don't blame him. But good win for the Rams. They continue to win, beating a NFC opponent. I want to say they're still in first place in the NFC. And as long as they can remain healthy, I still need to hear more about Devontae Adams. I know he hasn't practiced this week, but it doesn't seem like he's going to miss weeks. Maybe he'll miss the next game, but I think he'll be a game
yeah.
time decision. But definitely, as long as they can stay healthy, as right now, I got them coming out the NFC, honestly. But yeah, man, and that defense, as long as that line stays healthy, now, I was a little bit concerned with the defense because Tom Brady was talking about it. Kobe Durant, he was getting kind of picked on a little bit because they had those two touchdowns, like post route plays. I think Amon-Ra Brown, St. Brown had one, and Jameson Williams had one. I wonder if teams are going to pick up on that when they're in those type of coverages. If that's something the Ram might bite the bullet with later in the season, but we'll see. But definitely a good win for the Rams. Brandon, what did you think of this game?
L2 halves for me in this one, man. Detroit, they dominated the first half, 24-17 at half. The score didn't show the dominance. They had 8.5 yards per play. St. Brown and J-Mo put on a clinic, man. Every time I turn around, the ball was in one of their hands, man, for a big play. I remember texting you at one point saying the Rams defense needs to tighten up. And I said that because I picked the Rams. Um, and Rashad is like 2 games ahead of me in my picks league. He picked the Lions, so I really needed the Rams to come through, and they did. The defense did that in the third quarter, and that's when their offense took control as well. 17 unanswered points, led by Corum and Parkinson. Um, the Rams really attacked the Lions' defense with 13 personnel. Man, all 5 of their touchdowns was with one running back and 3 tight ends on the field, and that's not really common nowadays. And it's not really common with them when they got Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams. Now, both of those guys, I think, did get banged up, so I think that probably did factor into some of the play calling. But again, it's not too common where you see 13 personnel like that in these offenses nowadays. But yeah, um, Lions really needed this win. Um, they didn't get it. Not looking good for them heading down the stretch. I think it's gonna be too tight for them to make it in the playoffs unless Green Bay slips up the rest of the way. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, another big 40-point win for the Rams, who have really been putting up points on the scoreboard lately. And we all know what Matthew Stafford has been doing. I know he had an interception this one. Didn't play as good as he has been, but yeah, the Rams are looking really good right now, for sure. Okay, we got some player awards to give out, everyone. Let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Ed, who's your offensive player of the week?
I was gonna give it to my boy Kyle Pitts for his performance on Thursday Night Football, but I gotta show some love to your boys down in Duval County. Trevor Lawrence, 6 total touchdowns, man. 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, threw for 330 yards too, and was a leading rusher. I mean, he put up like he was playing high school ball or something. But hey, man, Trevor Lawrence, my offensive player of the week. How about you?
Trevor Lawrence was my pick, but I saw something that Jeffrey Simmons did out there in Santa
Mm,
Clara. Man, Titans used him for a goal line play. He ran out to the right. Uh, Cam Ward was scrambling around a little bit, couldn't find nobody open, so he ran all the way back all across the end zone and caught the touchdown. 300-pound defensive tackle catching the end zone and catching the touchdown. Not only did he catch the touchdown, but again he extended the play. As big as he is,
yeah.
he probably was tired after that play, running around. Um, excuse me, but he got the score there for 6. Titans end up losing, but shout out to Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle, is my offensive player of the week, defender of the week. Who you got?
Yeah, I wish they could have did more against George Kittle, but that's another story for another day. God. My defensive player of the week is the Bears linebacker, DeMarco Jackson. 7 total tackles, a sack, and an interception. Also defended a couple of passes against the Browns, who they whooped their ass 31-3. So DeMarco Jackson is my defensive player of the week. How about you?
Ravens safety Alohi Gilman, man. We traded for him not too long ago. I know you mentioned that the Chargers have been getting you know a good deal of performance out of Adafe Owe, but Gilman is low key been playing good as well. Kyle Van Noy had the barrel interception in the red area. He ran
Hell of
11
a play.
yards, just handed it off to number 12, and he did the rest. 84 yards for the touchdown, basically untouched there, um, up the sideline. It looked like old school Ravens football with Ed Reed pitching it off to Dewan Landry and other guys for so many years. It was beautiful, man. What a game! What a game for sure. Special teams player of the week. I'm sure we got the same guy. Who you got?
Honestly, we could probably give it to both kickers for that game, but definitely the Colts Seahawks game. Jason Myers, like I said, 6 for 6 long with 56 yards, game winning field goal basically too. Yeah, he's my special teamer of the week.
I'm with you. The only thing I'll add is he was responsible for all their points, which you mentioned earlier in the recap of that game. Good game for him, and he was on the Pat McAfee show on Monday as well, talking about it. Hats off to him. Bonehead player call of the week.
Bonehead play of the week goes to safety for the Carolina Panthers. Lathan Ransom was called for unnecessary roughness call on the quarterback for the Saints, Tyler Shuck, when he was sliding to the ground. Ransom made contact with him, and that play, put the Saints in
Yep.
field goal position to give them up for that go ahead, 47-yard field goal to basically win the game for the Saints. So safety Lathan Ransom, I think he's a rookie too, if I'm not mistaken, is my bonehead play move of the week. Brandon, how would say you?
He was in my consideration until Monday Night Football came on. Dolphins linebacker Jordan Brooks. He was having a hell of a game on defense there until the third quarter. Had a big time tackle on Fryer move. It was a third down play. I mean, excuse me. Was it third down? Yeah, third down play. Instead of him getting up and celebrating with his teammates, he decides to stand over Fryer move. Gets called for the personal foul, taunting play, 15 yards, automatic first down. Again, what made matters worse was it was a third down They was likely going to end up punting. Pittsburgh was, and it could have possibly led to points for Miami. But no, Pittsburgh gets a fresh set of downs, and they eventually scored again. They put up a lot of points on the board on Monday night. So my bonehead goes to Jordan Brooks, who was having, again, a really good game, leading his team in tackles on Monday night. And then he goes and does something like that. So, yeah, that's him.
All right, y'all, let's get into these other Week 15 games. The Falcons rallied for a walk-off win over the Bucks 29-28 Thursday Night Football. Ravens blanked the Bengals 24-0. I didn't really see that coming, honestly. Eagles shut out the Raiders 31-0. They were welcome to have that opponent after, the losses the Eagles were taking. Bears destroyed the Browns 31-3. Commanders want to end their losing streak after taking down the Giants 29-21. Jaguars overwhelmed the Jets 48-20. Texans topped the Cardinals 40-20. 49ers beat the Titans 37-24. Saints outlasted the Panthers 20-17. I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. Vikings over the Cowboys 34-26. And Steelers took it to the Dolphins last night 20-15. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I fell asleep or stopped paying much attention to that Steelers game right after that DK Metcalf touchdown, where he basically tossed Fitzpatrick away from him and ran to the end zone. I was like, oh my God, that's embarrassing right there, boy. That was a tough way to go out right there. Brandon, what were your thoughts on these other games though?
Yeah, man, a couple quick thoughts, man. Jaguars, Jets. Trevor Lawrence is probably playing the best football of his career since their bye week. They've won, I think, every game but one since that point. You mentioned the game he had was 5 passing touchdowns, rushing touchdown, led the team in rushing. I think he's only the 6th player to have 5 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. And not saying that he's going there, but I think 2 or 3 of those guys are now in the Hall of Fame. So what a game for him, and he's really put this team on his back, along with that defense as well. The defense is helping him. Hats off to him. But in Cincinnati, y'all, they're at the old Paul Brown Stadium. They now call Paycor Stadium. They say, who they
Oh boy.
who they think they're gonna beat them Bengals? Yes, this is Ocho Cinco. Now he was at the game, y'all. I saw live footage. He was down there, one of a streamer, and got an LJ to come, dap him up. I know y'all already saw the videos. Old school jersey here, y'all. But they sing "Who They" and "We They." We went into there. I've been saving this jersey for after this game, hoping that we was gonna beat them. I did not think like you. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see a shutout coming. But first time Joe Burrow got shut out in his career. He looked like Aaron Rodgers out there, like his demeanor. After like every time we sent them to the field on 3rd down, every time the interceptions, the pick 6 into the game, the press conference after, he honestly looked like Aaron Rodgers, in his late Green Bay game tenure and his time with the Jets, just like no tone, like a sense of pain and agony and stuff. And like I texted you earlier today or yesterday, Cincinnati put themselves in this situation, man. I know, don't get me wrong, man. Joe Burrow, I think he's definitely top 5 quarterback. I thought he should have won MVP last year. I think he deserves every cent. Jamar Chase, for the numbers he put up on the Ravens alone since he's been in the league, he deserves the money he got. T. Higgins as well has put up big numbers, especially last year. But when you go pay those guys that type of money and you don't already have the nucleus around the entire team, you end up in a situation like where they are now, 3 straight years of missing the playoffs, man, and unless it's a miraculous turnaround next year, it's no end in sight, man. I know they got Hendrickson on a 1-year deal. Again, Stewart is probably gonna, develop into something. He was inactive for this game. They don't really have anybody else on defense. I would say their next best player is probably the kicker, McPherson, I think his name is. But yeah, they're in this situation for a reason. Now, I do hope that they win the next 3 games so they don't end up with a decent draft pick or a better draft pick than they already are. Same with Kansas City. But yeah, it was a pleasure putting them out of the playoffs in this game. I was sick for this one. I was laying down in bed watching the game, and they really brought my spirits up for sure. Uh, watching Cincinnati play, man. But yeah, our defense played pretty damn good in this one. 2 interceptions and a pick six. Um, we played the run pretty well. Definitely after the first half. I know they had some decent runs there in the first half, but um, y'all know the type of numbers Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase typically put up on us. I think Jamar ended up over 100 yards, but to shut out the Bengals, man, I know their defense is absolutely horrendous, but to shut them out offensively is saying something for sure. But yeah, those are the 2 games that caught my attention. What about you?
Yeah, man. Now the Commanders want to win games. Just lose like you've been doing, so we get a draft pick like the Giants are doing. I think they got the
Yep.
chance to get the first round pick. It's the first time that happened to them since like 1965. And then I'm looking at, honestly, Liam Cohen could win Coach of the Year for how he's turned around the Jaguars, what he's doing with Trevor Lawrence. He did the same thing with Baker Mayfield. He made him really good. Not saying Baker Mayfield stunk or anything, but he kind of revitalized
Yeah.
his career in Tampa Bay. It looks like he's doing the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. So I wouldn't be surprised if Liam Cohen, especially if they, keep winning games like this, he gets a Coach of the Year. But that's definitely my thoughts for that. Just before we get out of here, NBA fans, NBA Cup final is about to start tonight. The Knicks are taking on the Spurs for the NBA Cup, so tune into that if you're a fan of the NBA as well.
Don't hold your breath for the Giants. Remember, I think about 2 or 3 weeks left in the season last year, they was in the position for the first overall pick, and then they won a game and got pushed down to what 3, I think it was. So yeah, don't hold your breath. They'll probably squander that.
It's just more the Commanders. I think we got the Eagles, Cowboys, and the Eagles. Watch me fuck around, win all 3 games somehow. I hope we lose them. No, I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I just right now, I mean, we stink. Don't start winning games now that you ain't got nothing less to play for. Let's continue to stink so we can get like a top 5 draft pick. Getting that top 5, top 3 would be great. That's all
How
I
you
got, man.
feel? How you feel about that as far as your draft position goes? Again, that's how I feel about the Bengals. I want them to win out, and I want the Chiefs to win out because right now they're talking about them being 10th in the draft,
Mm.
and they're saying that they would get the best running back in the country. I think he plays for Notre Dame. I don't know the guy's name, but they
That's
was
what
talking
they
about it.
need.
Yeah, that's what they was saying. They was like, hey, they somebody did their mock draft or did a semi mock draft, I guess, already, and said that them at 10, they'll probably take him. I'm like, oh God, that's all we need is Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati or Kansas City with a top 10 pick. Um, with a vengeance coming out next year for sure. Okay, let's close this thing out, y'all. We got a big time Thursday night football contest to look forward to. Rams travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Um, I think they've been getting a lot of rain up there, so we're not sure if that'll factor into it as well. They've been on all types of flood watches over the last week or so up there in the Pacific Northwest. Plus, we got 2 Saturday games, y'all, featuring Ed's Commanders against the Eagles at Northwest Stadium. The Eagles can clinch the NFC East with a victory. Um, and the Packers first, or they can clinch a playoff spot, I think it is. And then the Packers and Bears rematch from a couple weeks ago. This time it's at Soldier Field. Sure, it's going to be super cold out there. So uh, God be with the players, man, out there in those frigid temperatures. Can't wait to talk about those games and many more. Please take a moment, hit the subscribe button on your screen. Follow us on X at Podcast B&E and on IG at B&E Podcast. Again, we'll be back on Friday. Until next time, love one another.
Peace.